Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Ballabha Girivadari Jaya Girivadari Gopi Jana Ballabha Girivadari Jaya Girivadari Yasodanandana Raja Janaranjana Jaya Brada Janaranjana Yasodanandana Raja Janaranjana Jaya Brada Janaranjana Yasodanandana Raja Janaranjana Jaya Brada Janaranjana Yamunatiravachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Yamunatiravachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari. Gopidana Bharava Grivadari Jaya Grivadari. Gopidana Bharava Grivadari Jaya Grivadari. Yatsonanandana Brajadana Ranjana Jaya Brajadana Ranjana. Yamuna Tiravachari Jaya Kunja Vihari. Yamuna Tiravachari Jaya Kunja Vihari. Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari. Jayong Vishnupad Paramhangsa Ravidakacharya Asadhara Sadushi Shiman. His Divine Grace Shalisi Bhaktivedanta Swami Raj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. For Premanande Haribol Slava Zavrani Bhaktam Slava Shigurui Shigurangi. Om Vishnu Braya Krishna Prastaya Putare Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Tenamane. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Vicharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paskyatyade Sadharane. Om Agana Timirandasya Gananjana Salakaya Chaksuramilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shigaro Shiyuta Padakamalam Shigaram Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Rijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shiva Sakanzvitam Sha Hey Krishna Karna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Prishubhanu Sudadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakapa Drubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patiranam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Pranitananda Shadvaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Srimad-bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 4, The Atrocities of King Kamsa. And we begin with text 16, which I don't believe has any purport. Translation, being merciless and cruel, I have forsaken all my relatives and friends. Therefore, like a person who has killed a brahmana, I do not know to which planet I shall go, either after death or while breathing. Text 17. Alas, not only human beings, but sometimes even providence lies. And I'm so sinful that I believed the omen of providence and killed so many of my sister's children. Text 18. Ma sochatam mahabhagav atmajan swakritam bhuja jantavona sadai katra daiva dinas tata sate nasochatam mahabhagav atmajan swakritam bhujaha jantavona sadai katra daiva dinas tata sade. Mahabhaga Ladies, Mahabhaga Atmajan Swakritam Bhujaha Jantavona Sadai Katra Daiva Dinas Tata Sade Atmajan Mahabhaga Atmajam Swakritam Bhuja Jantavo nasadai katra Daivadina sadasate Nasochitam. Kindly do not be aggrieved for what happened in the past. Mahabhago. Oh, you who are learned and fortunate in spiritual knowledge. Atmajan, for your sons. Swakritam, only because of their own acts. Bunjaha, who are suffering. Jantava, all living entities. Na, not. Sada, always. Ekatra, in one place. Daiva adinaha, or under the control of providence. Tada, hence. Asate, live. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti-Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. O great souls, your children have suffered their own misfortune. Therefore, please do not lament for them. All living entities are under the control of the Supreme, and they cannot always live together. Purport. Kamsa addressed his sister and brother-in-law as Mahabhago, because although he killed their ordinary children, the goddess Durga took birth from them. Because Devaki bore Durga Devi in her womb, Kamsa praised both Devaki and her husband. The Asuras are very devoted to the goddess Durga, Kali, and so forth. Kamsa therefore truly astonished, appreciated the exalted position of his sister and brother-in-law. Durga is certainly not under the laws of nature, because she himself is the controller of the laws of nature. Ordinary human beings, however, are controlled by these laws. Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvashaha. Consequently, none of us are allowed to live together for any long period. By speaking this way, Kamsa tried to pacify his sister and brother-in-law. So, Namo Vishnu Vidaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhute Srimate Bhakti-Vedanta Swami Tanamane Namaste Saraswatam Deve Gauravani Pacharane Nirvishesha Shinivadi Paskyadyade Siddharne. So Kamsa is quite impressed by Durga Devi, because everyone is deriving their power from someone, and therefore it says in Bhagavad Gita, Yad yada charya shestas tad tad eve taro janaha siyat pramanam kurute lokastad anuvartate. Whatever great action, whatever a great man does, that the common men follow in his footsteps, and whatever standard he sets by his exemplary acts, all the world pursues. So everyone has to choose a leader, as a matter of fact, whether we're conscious of it or not. We've chosen so many leaders since time immemorial. And choosing a leader means we admire one of their opulences that we want to possess ourselves. That in order to gain a certain opulence, whether it's aishvaryasya, samagrasya, viryasya, yashashastriyaha, yana vairagyas chainam, shanam bhagani tinganaha. Everyone wants to enjoy beauty, everyone wants to enjoy fame, everyone wants to enjoy knowledge, everyone wants to enjoy wealth, everyone wants to enjoy strength. So everyone wants to enjoy these things because we believe that these are the pathways to happiness. So ultimately everyone wants happiness, and happiness in the material conception of life is the acquisition of a certain material assets. Just like people would be very surprised if they asked us, are you happy? And we said, yes. And they said, where do you live? Well, I live in a house I share a room with 10 other people. Really? How much money do you in the house have in the bank? I have absolutely nothing. Where do you eat? I eat on the floor. And what do you do all day? I just chant Hare Krishna. And you're happy? It sounds like you need some social support, or maybe some psychological support. So people conceive of happiness in terms of acquiring material possessions. And they think of unhappiness as a lack of the same. And therefore, they're choosing some leader in order to achieve their goals. Mahajno yena kata sapanta tarka apratishta shutiya vivina nastavri shir yasyana vinam dharmasya tattvam nihitam guhayam mahajno yena kata sapanta. Now, the tendency in Kali Yuga is to argue. If you haven't noticed, well, we can argue about that. Everyone wants to argue about something. Sounds like a ice cream truck. And we leave that up to Lili to Govinda. He's our ice cream man. We don't need a truck. So everyone likes to argue in this material world, and generally people are arguing, in what way will you acquire some kind of opulence? What is the path towards material happiness? That's the main opulence. And Tarka Aprashutaya Vibhina. And there are many books. Some of them are so-called knowledge. If you go on Amazon.com, you can find millions of books. And they're all about different subject matters. And the same thing, how to acquire material opulence, mostly about how to get wealth, some about how to get strength, some how to win friends so you can influence people. Some of them about becoming famous and a big influencer. But they're all telling us that if you acquire these opulences, then you can become happy. And they're all acquiring knowledge from different sources. Ultimately, all the knowledge comes from the Vedas. Whatever knowledge was spoken by the Supreme Personality of Godhead at the beginning of creation, that's the original knowledge. And everyone else is just repeating it, although they may not give any credit to Krishna, but he himself is the original source. As a matter of fact, Savasya Chaham Ridi Sanavishto Vatak Smritira Jnanam Aponam Ja. We may not give credit to Krishna, but at every moment he's giving us remembrance, he's giving us knowledge, he's giving us forgetfulness. Now he may help us remember material knowledge, to whatever degree it's available, or spiritual knowledge. Even in the Vedas, there's a book called the Kama Sutra. If you want to have sex life, it explains to you the most scientific way of doing it, which is just one step above the animals. In other words, the animals don't have to read the book, they're expert already. But human beings, they're not so expert in Kali Yuga, therefore they have to do some studying to become like an animal. Or actually, it's not quite an animal, a little bit above the animals, to do it scientifically according to the direction of the Vedas. So everything's there. Even in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, even Lord Chaitanya quotes one famous scholar who is expert in sex life. So everything is available in the Vedas. Nigama kalpataru galitam palam sukha mukam dravas samritam pibata bhagavatam amalam mahuramaho bhava bhava bhuvikaha. So So everything is there in the Vedas, and we can derive all kinds of material happiness by following its instructions. And those instructions ultimately tell us, Daiviyesha Gunamayi Mamamaya Duratya, that this material nature, Durga, she's giving all benediction. Shristi, Shtiti, Pralaya Sadam, Shakti Eka. She's creating the material universes, therefore whatever we want ultimately comes from her. Therefore, those who have some knowledge, they understand that Durga is a very important person, and I should try to get something from. If I want to get what I want in this material world, I'm going to have to get it from her. And therefore they become worshippers of Durga. Not that they're in love with Durga, but at least they recognize that Durga is worshipable. If I want to get what I want, I have to get it from her. And I get it from her through the process of worshiping her, glorifying her. They have their festival, Durga Puja. So one time, if you listen to Srila Prabhupada's tapes, there was a big festival in Calcutta on Durga Puja Day. And in India, if you go there, they have these huge speakers the size of this column here, bigger than the column. And if you want to go deaf, if you think your hearing is too acute, you can go to attend one of those festivals, and I guarantee you, after 5 or 10 minutes, you won't hear anything. They're blasting this music, and they were blasting the music in one festival. Prabhupada was giving a lecture in the background. You can hear Durga Puja, and they were playing a song which you may not be familiar with. It's called "The Hills Are Alive with the Sound of Music." It comes from a show, which was made, I guess, a book which was made into a movie and a Broadway show called "The Sound of Music." I can sing it for you, but not during class. In any case, they were blasting, "The hills are alive with the sound of music," songs we have heard for 1,000 years. Very, interesting song. But blasting is so hard, you can hardly hear Prabhupada talking, and probably they were, playing the music 3 kilometers away. So the devotees were asking Prabhupada, because this is worship of Durga, who is better, the Christians or the worshippers of Durga? So Prabhupada said, actually, the worshippers of Durga are better. Although it's not a very sattvic worship. At the end of their festival, they take the deity of Durga and they throw her into the ocean or the sea, wherever it is. Because they got their benediction, they killed all the goats for her satisfaction, because she's a vegetarian, but her friends aren't. And then they throw her deity into the ocean. So what kind of worship is this? It's not exactly sattvic worship, it's ignorance. But still Prabhupada said that worship of the Durga is better, because if they follow the worship properly, then after some time, and they get their benediction, and Durga does give benedictions. It may appear sometimes in India that people are poor, but actually they have stocks of gold somewhere. Even the ladies, the ordinary village ladies, have gold ornaments. They have something valuable. And in the Western world, we have paper money. It's not even edible. They have edible paper, but if they made the money on edible paper, it would be worth something. Maybe you could eat it if the price went down. So they do worship Durga, and they actually get wealth. And real wealth, of course, as I've always said, is clean air, fresh water, nice food. Like in India, people still know how to cook, although it's considered primitive in the Western world, knowing how to cook. But they actually know how to cook nice food. They know how to enjoy actually in the material world. Nice family life. I think they still have family life in India. People still value nice family life. They even love their children, which is kind of strange. They value their children. Because nowadays in the Western world, when they come, they all have to become doctors and lawyers, or AI engineers. But that's because they have some connection with reality, with Durga, with the demigods, with the Supreme Personality of Godhead in some form, and therefore they're not completely disconnected from reality. So Prabhupada said, at least because they worship Durga, they're probably going to get some result if they do it properly. Therefore they become faithful to the Vedic knowledge. And by becoming faithful to the Vedic knowledge, eventually someone may spark some inquisitiveness in them, and the result is they want to find out more, and then they find out that there's something higher than worship of Durga. For instance, there's Panchapasana worship. Does anyone know the deities for Panchapasana worship? In case you get interested. What's that? I'm going deaf, so you have to. No, Panchapasana is a little different. There's 5 deities. Do you know who the 5 deities are? Sorry, yes. So there are deities, and there is a progression to them, from one after another. Of course, we understand it ends in Vishnu. So you may start out worshiping one deity, and by properly worshiping that deity, you get the results worshiping the deity, and it inspires you to worship the next deity in line, because you get better results. You get a bigger Christmas present. So that's what people are inspired to in the material world. And Durga is pretty much on top of the materialistic ladder. So Kangsu is quite impressed that his worshipful deity, who he gets his opulence from, his power, his sister, of all people, gave birth to Durga Devi. She's the mother of Durga Devi. Durga Devi is the mother of the universe, and she's the mother of Durga Devi. So that's pretty elevated. So he's envious of Krishna, just like we have so many powerful people in the material world, and they get their power. All of them got their power through worshiping bigger personalities than they are. Either in this lifetime or in the last lifetime. As a matter of fact, wherever status we're at, if we worship someone higher, then we go to a higher status. If we're a mudha, we're going to go down to the animal species of life. But if by good association a mudha becomes a shudra, becomes a little submissive to higher knowledge, which is the only difference. A mudha is simply the highest knowledge that they have is how to drink wine, how to mix it up, alcoholic beverages. They're expert at certain things. Or how to eat meat. They can tell you exactly how to prepare meat or which the best types of meat are. They're mudhas. But if they get good association, then they become a shudra and they follow some higher knowledge. One who's in distress, he tries to take care of that distress as a mudha by drinking alcohol and other intoxications. And one who's a shudra, he chants Hare Krishna or goes to the temple and prays for relief from his distress. And if by some kind of good association, the Sudra may become a Naradama in the next lifetime. Just like in modern society, so-called civilized society, where people have taken birth and they have some kind of organized facilities for eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, some kind of social welfare even, they're Naradamas, because although they've gotten by good karma in the past, by following higher authorities, they've come to take birth in a nice country. Still, if they misuse it, then they'll go down to become a Muda again in their next lifetime. And from there to the animal species of life. But if they use it or utilize it properly, that's called a Vaishya. That's why Srila Prabhupada wanted to establish Varnashram. If the society is based upon cow protection rather than exploitation of the cows, then one goes upwards. If there is protection of the cows, then there'll be clean water, there'll be nice food, there'll be clean air, there'll be even nice relationships between people. If you eat your mother, then everyone else you look at looks like a good meal too. That's the end of Kali Yuga. The big Prasadam feast is when you catch a devotee. The end of Kali Yuga. But if an Naradama goes upward gets good association, becomes a Vaishya, instead of exploiting the cow, starts protecting the cow and the bull and following religious principles, then the result is one becomes a Kshatriya in the next lifetime, a manager. One becomes aware of knowledge from the higher authorities and becomes somewhat fearless, can understand what to do and what not to do, and therefore with determination can do things with clear intelligence. But if one misuses that intelligence that one has gained from pious activities, then they become a Maya Pritigyana, and they mislead people. They become they become the heads of society and lead the society down to become Naradamas and Mudhas. But if they utilize that knowledge properly by following the real Brahmins, then they become a Brahmana in their next lifetime. And they can understand the process of liberation. But if they misuse that knowledge and become envious of others and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then they become a Asram Bhavam Ashritya, a demon. So Kamsa had some knowledge. He understood he understood the process of elevation materially, but he was envious of Krishna. Therefore, he was anyone who's a Maya Pritigyana is also Ashram, has all the other qualities generally. But he respected his sister and brother because they had given birth to Durga Devi. But he was easily, as we'll find out, his mind was easily turned when he got into bad association. And he had really bad association. He had the worst association. His ministers were about the lowest people you could get on a committee. In that committee, no one fell asleep. You just look at the people there, you stay awake. Agasura, Putana, Trinavarta, Dhenukasura, Keshi, they're all big, big demons. So what kind of association? So immediately his mind changed, as we'll find out. Instead of appreciating, what Durga said, his ministers convinced him that he should go and kill everyone. Don't listen to Durga. She's also a demigod. She may give you what you want, but actually, we're your friends. I think you should go and kill all the children that were born in the past few days. So, those are the demons. By nature, they get good instructions from Durga, but they don't care for Durga or for anyone else. They just want something from her. They don't want her instructions. They want whatever material opulence they can give. And those who are in that same mentality, they'll do anything to get material opulence and to enjoy material opulence, you need life. So comes to realize, my enemy has been born somewhere else. Now let's go and kill all these kids. Any one of them can be Krishna. And then we can enjoy material world forever. Eating, sleeping, mating, defending. And Durga will keep on giving us whatever we want if we just worship her. We may not listen to her, but we'll worship her and enjoy this material world to the utmost. So that's the demon. And the devotee realizes that we should take good instruction from those who are superior to us, follow them so gradually we can become elevated. And the highest elevation is not to kill Krishna, but to surrender to Krishna. That's the difference between the demons and the devotees. The devotees want to serve Krishna, and all the demons, every demon wants to kill Krishna and take his place. So I'll stop there. Thank you. Any questions or comments? Jai.
Thank you for inspiring lecture. I would just like to ask, how can we resist the tendency of misusing what we were given when you were mentioning? So how can we resist that tendency?
Well, first thing is, whatever we're given, we should see it's been given by Krishna. And then we have to find out from Krishna what he wants us to do with it. Because whatever he gave us is probably something we can do with it to serve Krishna. So we have to consult with Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra humbly. And when Krishna, as the super soul within our heart, reveals to us clearly what we have to do, then we can do that with the most intelligence we can, and with conviction. And that will produce enthusiasm. And then we'll be happy doing it. What inspired you about the lecture?
I found it very inspiring because I have not yet learned that link about when someone who became Vaishya misuses, that he becomes like Narada, and that's like then when someone was like Shaidra misuses, becomes my Prihita, and that link I found very interesting, and I was really amazed by that when you mentioned. And it's like what happens when certain Varna misuses his facilities. What happens? I found this really interesting.
Yeah, sure. Wherever we are, we can go up or we can go down. Of course, the chanting Hare Krishna done in the proper mood will bring us up much more quickly, because that's we're working on the spiritual platform. That spiritual energy will purify us and bring us to the highest level of consciousness very quickly. But for the ordinary persons who are following Krishna's directions, it's a gradual process. Even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that. He said that when he was going in the community getting donations, because back then Brahmins can get donations, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was inspired, let me go and get some donations. Let me go out and collect a little bit. So he went to everyone who was getting his donations, getting his coconuts and bananas and whatever else they had. There's no electronic equipment. Brahmins didn't get those things because there were none of them. In any case, he went to an astrologer and he asked for a donation. He said, tell me who I was in my last lifetime. So Prabhupada said that this was a really good astrologer. He didn't have to draw a chart. He just meditated. So he started to meditate, and he saw this half man, half lion. And he said, oh, this is a little strange. This man doesn't look so strange. Then he saw this turtle in this ocean with a big golden rod on its back. And these demons and demigods were churning with Vasuki. Well, this is really strange. This is getting stranger. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, so who was I? He said, I don't know. It's been a really bad day. I'm seeing all these things, but I don't think I'm in the right state of mind. Why don't you come back tomorrow? Maybe I can do better. No. Think a little harder. Then he went back into meditation, and he saw this green man with a bow and arrows. And there's this beautiful woman and his brother was there. He said, well, it's getting a little bit better. And then he said, I know who you are. You're the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Lord Chaitanya said, no, that's not true at all. He said, I know who I was in my last lifetime. In my last lifetime, I was a cowherd boy. And because of my pious activity of protecting the cows, in this lifetime I've taken birth as a Brahmin. So even Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu understood the process of elevation. Anything else? Hvala Grantaraj srimad-bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanande Haribo.